Welcome back once again to IGN Live at Gamescom 2015, presented by Homefront: The Revolution. I'm Max. This is Powell from Flying Wild Hog. You were the guys behind Shadow Warrior, and now Shadow Warrior 2, which is a cool series of words to say out loud because it means it's going to be a thing. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing here?
We're presenting the demo, the hands-off demo of Shadow Warrior 2, which is the sequel to the reboot of the original Shadow Warrior.
Which was ridiculous. You could cut, I think there were more disgusting body parts you could cut people into than any other video game I've played, which is saying something.
So right now you can expect even more of that in the sequel, as we've added the procedural cutting system. So there's a lot of limbs flying all over the place.
That's nuts. And now it's multiplayer, yeah?
Yeah, you can play either in single player on four player co-op for entire campaign. The cool thing about that is that since this Shadow Warrior is a story-driven game, and we have this cool hero, Lo Wang, with his cheesy one-liners and really cool personality, we didn't want to lose that in this game. So each player playing in co-op mode sees himself as Lo Wang from the first-person view.
Okay.
And other players you see as this, co-op ninjas. And they are also explained in the story, so it's not like they are totally random characters. So you know exactly why Lo Wang is allied with this faction.
Interesting. And so if you play it by yourself, will they be there as AI, or is it just you by yourself?
I mean, they will be in the hub area, for example. You can also always interact with them, to talk with them about something, pick up some quests.
Right,
missions.
but they're not going to be like AI companions.
No.
Okay, and then but in the multiplayer, that's an interesting solution because is everybody? I'm guessing there are points in the game where Lo Wang will see something and he'll make a comment about it.
Yeah, so in the sections like that, everyone will be pulled into the cutscene or dialogues that require Lo Wang's presence or his action, like you mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, and what's the premise here? What's the plot?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much at this point. Because of the events of Shadow Warrior 1, what happened at the end, both Shadow Realm that we visited a couple of times and the territory of Japan, they have merged, forming a land that we call Onishima, which is this twisted version of Japan, where humans and demons live alongside each other. And in the middle of that, we have Lo Wang, who is working like a sort of like a bounty hunter, making good money out of slaying demons.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the procedural damage model?
Yeah. So in the previous game, we've had some predefined areas, which were enough, but we knew we can do that better. So we've added procedural cutting system especially designed for melee combat, and the other system that's designed for the guns. So you can, for example, create a hole in enemy's body, by shooting with a shotgun or something.
That's
like
disgusting, and I love it. The whole premise of Shadow Warrior obviously is it's like a first-person slicer. I can't think of a game that has like first-person melee combat that really nailed it quite as hard. What are you adding for the second one?
We're adding more melee weapons, more melee weapon types. So we have katana like in the first game. We have dual swords, dual short blades, and claws.
Okay. Are there going to be new projectile weapons or other types of weapons?
There's 70 weapons in total in this game.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and each weapon has a couple of variations. Like the world of Shadow Warrior is divided in 3 major areas: the ancient setting, modern setting, and the futuristic one. And that design of the world influences the design of the weapons as well.
Oh man. And this is what's the futuristic one like? So
it's kind of like, I don't know if you think about Japanese cities, which already look like something like 20 years in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, something like
that.
All
right. This is neat. I like this. What are we up to right now? What's happening? Like, what are we just running around shooting demons here?
This demo actually presents sort of it's an example of the random assignment that you can, something that you can pick up from the notice board, for example.
Okay.
Just do some random bounty missions.
Now you mentioned the hub world. Is it kind of you sort of choose missions there and then you're dropped into a level you're going to explore?
Yeah. After you finish the prologue section of the game, you land in the hub area where you have Lo Wang's apartment and other areas when you can interact with the NPCs and take story missions from them. And in addition to the story campaign, we have also side quests, optional side quests. And as I said, the random assignments just to keep people, attracted to the game for a longer time.
Okay. So you've added co-op multiplayer. How does that affect the way the game actually plays?
The enemies are stronger, of course, with every player joining your session.
Okay.
It's a drop-in, drop-out co-op mode. So, of course, if anything drops out, the enemies will be slightly easier.
Okay. Is there any kind of like teamwork function, like where you can kind of do moves that are like kind of gang up on an enemy?
Something like a tag battle or something like that?
Like a two-part move or whatever.
I mean, we don't have any like sort of, I don't know, finishers and interaction. We want everything to be as fluid as possible. So we don't want to use, for example, every QTEs. But since every weapon is upgradable with many different upgrades, like the elemental damage, for example. So if your colleague has, for example, a weapon that adds ice as elemental damage, so he can freeze the enemy, and then you can finish him off with a single blow or single hit.
All right. This looks like a lot. This looks a lot bigger and a lot more vertical than I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was one of the. I mean, Shadow Warrior 1 was the tribute to the old school shooters, and it still is. However, for the level design, we heard some complaints that the levels were too linear. Mm-hmm. So we decided to make much more open areas, and that also allowed us to create more advanced, movesets for low rank. So right now you can double jump, do aerial dashes, running on the rooftops, climbing up the walls. So
stuff that a ninja should be doing. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, we wanted to push low rank, in the direction of sort of a superhuman ninja.
Okay. Now, is this coming to PC first, or is it coming to console same time?
There's gonna be a simultaneous release on PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Awesome. And in terms of kind of scale of the game, how would you say it compares to the first one? I mean, how long have you guys been tinkering away at this?
The production started a year ago, and we're still like a year from the release date. The game is definitely bigger. There's more environments, better diversity in environments as well. We actually try to improve every aspect of the original.
It shows. 70 weapons is quite an arsenal. Have you guys? This is obviously not your primary focus, but would you ever consider doing a competitive multiplayer?
That a lot of people are asking.
That's kind of it's sort of a puzzle. How do you have that? How would that work?
I mean, we are thinking about it. We want to include it in the game when it's released. For sure, right now we are focusing only on the cooperation mode. But I think we will try to do the PvP mode as well.
Okay. Now you've got these open maps here where you can kind of just run around and really mess with people. Would there ever be multiple objectives or?
Yeah, I mean that of course depends upon the mission, but some of them include, like, for example, gather 3 pieces of something, and that kind of objectives, as you asked before, how we deal with the dialogues, for example. If you have an objective that's not that very important, I mean, it doesn't require a low rank's presence, then each player can pick up parts of something, and then we can proceed, to the final objective, for example.
Okay. I'm noticing these guys are, you're very agile, and a lot of the enemies are, so far, kind of more ground-based. Are there any enemy types that are really just kind of trumping you in terms of how they move, or?
I mean, actually, in this demo, the previous section a couple of minutes ago showed that the enemies can also follow you on the rooftop. Okay. So it's not like you are safe there.
Right. So are we gonna see any like flying enemies?
Yeah, there are flying enemies designed already.
Is that like a portal in the distance I see there? Is that kind of
over there?
Yeah.
It's where the mini boss for this demo is.
Okay, I want to see the mini
hanging
boss.
around.
I was about to ask about bosses.
I mean, we have 2 kinds of bosses. Well, in this case, we are using a regular enemy that has the larger scale.
Okay.
He has like the extra large scale, and we will use that kind of enemies for mini boss encounters. But we also have custom bosses that will appear in the game, in the specific moments.
All right.
Yeah.
What's so you like the first one you said was kind of an homage to the original game.
Yeah.
But you did add a lot. You did build it up a bunch. Do you find that you're like you kind of had? I mean, it was kind of falling back on something that a little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of homage. But are you kind of just like paving new territory here and really just kind of?
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, we want to improve as a studio, of course. So,
Yeah.
but we still understand the DNA of original Shadow Warrior and the games of that era. The old school shooters of the 90s. So, we hope that feeling is still there. But of course, the original Shadow Warrior was released so many years ago.
Yeah,
we have to make some new features, make the game more entertaining visually and gameplay-wise.
Would you guys ever consider working on a Duke Nukem game?
I was so excited, seeing the reactions of people that mentioned our company as the one that should remake the Duke Nukem.
No, you guys would.
If there's gonna be an opportunity, I mean, I'm talking for myself, but I would love to.
Yeah, or a consolation prize. You could do another Blood game. Classic 3D Realms.
Yeah.
So that's elemental damage there, or is he just kind of on fire?
No, he was shot with the rocket launcher before.
All right.
So.
Well, Shadow Warrior 2, that looks bigger and messier and grosser and with a bunch of friends. When do you said next year?
Yeah, sometime next year. We don't have the precise date yet. I would speculate it's going to be a year from now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming by to show
Yeah,
it
thanks
off.
for having me.
That's a gross game you made. There's a lot of guts in there. We've got more games coming up. Most of them are less violent than this, so stay tuned.